everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So we're here today because it is Thursday, which means it's Booklist Thursday. Booklist Thursday is something I do with Sarah over at Sarah's Nightstand. We come to you every Thursday with some sort of thoughts, ideas, recommendations, something bookish related. So today is, we're going to talk about some books that were our almost favorites of 2023. So a lot of videos have been coming out from booktubers talking about their favorite books from last year. I had 23 to talk about, and yet these 5 I want to share with you were definite contenders to be favorites, but just they were almost there. And now that I'm thinking about it, they probably should have been there in some places. I kind of changed up how I was rating books mid-year. So these, yeah, you may have been victims of that. Anyways, doesn't matter. There are 5 fantastic books I want to talk about, and let's get into them. First one is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This one was quite the rage during our summer BookTube Besties virtual reading retreat. Quite a few people were reading it. I was right on the bandwagon with them. It is phenomenal. Follows Lucy, who knows what it's like to grow up without parents that love her. And as her childhood progressed, she found solace in books, and mainly the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. 26 years later, or now she's 26 years old, so quite a few years later, she's a teacher's aide, and she shares her reading with students, one of them being an orphan named Christopher. She'd give anything to adopt. And when she's about to give up because it's quite expensive to adopt, there's a contest that Jack Masterson is hosting at his home on Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy of his newest book. So there's a game element of this. You get a little bit of the past story from Lucy's perspective, and then also as she goes to Clock Island to compete to win this prize, which is the only copy which she could then sell and adopt Christopher. It just follows that whole story. It is beautiful and sweet, and it will go right to your heart and pull right on your heartstrings right away. So I loved it. Definitely an almost fave. Next one I want to talk about, I've talked about quite a few times on this channel, so of course it's going to make my list. It is Going Zero by Anthony McCartan. This one takes place kind of would be present day, and it's crazy how it sort of really kind of hits home with how society is. Basically, the head of a social media empire teams up with the CIA, and they test this new program that has potential to catch criminals very quickly using information from social media as well as anything that the CIA has available for them. And in order to test this program, they come up with a contest, and I believe there's 10 people who have a chance to win $1 million if they can go zero and stay hidden for 30 days. So they get a bit of a head start, and then this program starts looking for them. We do get an idea of each of the characters, each of the contestants, but we were really focusing on Caitlin Day, who is your run-of-the-mill librarian and seems to live a pretty quiet life, and doesn't seem to be one that may do well in this competition, but she's got some tricks up her sleeve. So I loved it. It was fantastic. I listened to it on audio. It was awesome. Next one I want to talk about is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This one is a sweet generational telling of the Wayward family. We have 3 different timelines we're looking at, which is like 2019 or current day, 1619, and then 1942. We're following 3 women that come from this family who have some sort of magical abilities within them, living through their own kind of turmoil or heartache at the time, and we go from there. And I loved this book. I love this book. All right, next one I want to talk about is The September House. This one I read on my Kindle. This is by Carissa Orlando. So we follow Margaret, and we learn that Margaret and her husband, Leo, that might not be right, purchased this old Victorian house that they went for a tour and fell in love with it very quickly and made the decision very, very fast to purchase this house without necessarily maybe thinking it all the way through. So when they move in, they realize the house, well, it's haunted. And there's some regular appearances from some regular ghosts. But the closer they get to the month of September, the more strange things get. And once September hits, it's insane. The walls bleed. There's something in the basement that is just pure evil. The ghosts get even more crazier. So one would think you would just run away from the situation, but Margaret is not an ordinary person, not an ordinary character, I should say, not person. She's like, no, this is my dream. I want to live in this house, and she's just gonna deal with it. And then we go from there. So I thought it was great. As crazy as a ghost story can be and have a little bit of like cheeky humor in it, it did, because Margaret would like yell at these ghosts and be like, oh yeah, Francesca walks around and she's like got a knife in her head or something like that, and it's fine, like no big deal. Or the walls start bleeding, so she just cleans it up. It was very interesting. I really liked it. And then the last book I want to talk about is Stay Awake by Megan Golden. This is one I listened to like right away, like in January, and I still kind of think about this book. So we have our main character, Liv, and we are thrown right into the story from the get-go. She basically wakes up in a taxi and is trying to figure out why she's in this taxi, what's going on, where she is. Basically, she has lost the last 2 years of her memories. So she ends up going home to what she thinks is home, and she doesn't live there anymore. And she looks down and she has kind of written all over her place the words, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake, stay awake. So as we're going through this time, and Megan Golden does such a good job of really putting you in this like headspace of being completely confused and not remembering and trying to figure out what's going on. I remember I was doing it and I was like talking out loud. I think I was doing a puzzle or whatever. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And I don't normally do with audiobooks, but so we start to learn what is going on with Liv. Why is it that she can't remember the last 2 years? Every time she falls asleep, it's like she resets to 2 years ago. So, but really good. It was one I was just addicted to on audio that I couldn't stop listening to it. So all 5 really great contenders, almost favorites. I think you should read these as well as the other 23 I talked about in another video, but head over to Sarah's channel and see what she has for us today, what kind of almost favorites she has on her list. Otherwise, comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff below, and we'll chat books, and I will see you next time. Bye.